So we finally had a chance to pull up on Nate, the winner of Austin SpeedRailz City Championship. We're here at the Hyatt Regency off of the river near Barton Springs here in Austin, downtown. I mean, give us an overview of what this concept is before we get into the questions.
So, this is a new renovation. Ripple and Roots is completely different than what Marker 10 was. The history behind Marker 10 was this is like the 10th mile marker on the trail that we have right out here that aligns Ladybird Lake. And Ripple and Roots was our rebrand, and it's kind of paying homage to the environment that's right out here. Ripple is just from the lake, and then, Roots being like the greenery that's right here. So the concept is really kind of like a Tex-Mex style. The chefs really wanted to create a culture and a menu here where you can kind of get all aspects of different parts of Texas right here in this menu. So you have a lot of different cultures that collaborate on it, a lot of like different natural vendors that we get our stuff from, and just all like just real natural sourcing from like the kitchen all the way up to the bar. Everything is like in-house made and real fresh ingredients.
So man, so you took first place in Austin. Let's talk about that competition because we haven't had a chance to dive into it. What do you think, thinking back to those days at Cabana Club, what separated you from everybody else?
I think just kind of being ready for that moment, just kind of being hungry for it. Not only that, but like being a veteran to this competition, I feel like helped a lot, man. Just kind of knowing the processes, understanding the rules, and kind of like the things you can do to give yourself a better chance of coming out with a better score, right? It's not necessarily about moving fast. You have to have a calculated movement, and and this, kind of going slow is honestly faster, you know what I mean? Because once you account for all of the deductions and all of the points that you can lose, you can move real quick, hit that button first, and then still end up with a time that's 4 minutes slower than your opponent. So I kind of think just being prepared for that moment, being a veteran and understanding the rules and regulations just kind of helped me a whole lot in that situation and being able to win, Austin.
I love that, man. And for you, like we know you had a chance to be a part of SpeedRailz from the inception here out here in Austin. What did that win end up doing for you personally?
Oh man, that was like, to me, it was like hitting a milestone, like dedicating yourself, like trying something out, being like, man, like, it's my first time doing it. It wasn't the results that I wanted, but like, let me keep at it and keep practicing. I feel like it's just a true test of like just being persistent. You know what I mean? You're going to try a lot of new things and you're not always going to be successful, but I'm telling you, the more and more you practice, the more you keep diving into whatever you're trying to get into, you're going to get better. And like, this is the possibility, you can go and fail, try it a few more times, and like eventually you'll get that W. You'll get to that point where you're like, all right, I finally met the standard that I think, I expect for myself and that other people probably expect from me. And I think that's like what's real huge with being able to say, I won the Austin, SpeedRailz, because, there's a lot of real competitive and really talented bartenders that are just in this local area. So for me to say that I'm one of those people that could be in the top, it's just real important. I feel like it says a lot for the craft.
I like that, man. If you're a bartender, you're not taking shots, are you really a bartender? That was a double pun.
Exactly.
And you've been a hotel bartender since I met you. What draws you to being a hotel bartender?
Honestly, I think it's just the consistency, man, and staying away from the late nights. The latest that we close here is on the midnight. The 2 a.m. was cool while I was doing it.
You did club for a little bit.
Yeah, I did the club bartending, really unique experience. Not exactly my thing, but man, I think it's like the consistency and the benefits, the work environment, the people around you, and the culture that you can actually build. Because I would say at a spot like this, we don't really rotate staff too much, right? Like, people get promoted into new positions. This hotel takes a lot of pride in promoting from within. And even within like our like food and beverage staff, we have, servers who are becoming bartenders now, right? We're having, bar backs that are getting into serving, and like they take a lot of pride in investing on the people that they have in here. So I feel like you're able to build a much stronger team in a spot like this compared to somewhere where people are just kind of doing it for the fast money, right? It's like real high volume, real intense, you know what I mean? Possibly even anxiety inducing for some people, right? But like, you'll make your money doing that. But I feel like as far as setting a foundation, building a plan, developing a real cocktail menu, and like creating relationships with your locals is just very important when it comes to a space like this. And I kind of feel like that's what draws me to it, is the professionalism in it, the consistency, the benefits, and kind of just like how I feel valued in a spot like this, because they even rely on me a lot for a lot of what we have going on here. As far as trying to market and doing stuff like this, as far as coming up with new cocktail ideas consistently, I get my team really involved in it, and that's just something I feel like you don't necessarily get in different types of bars and restaurants, right? Is like that team collaboration, that management trust, and kind of just like that corporate backing. Because, with that corporate backing comes, the capital to help us get the stuff that we need to be successful. And at the end of the day, it's like we got to make sure that all of the people who are working here are satisfied and that their ideas are being heard, because one person's ideas might be different than mine, but then their idea might be something that is beneficial to the entire team from, a mental and financial standpoint. So it's just like having the support staff and just having, the support from the higher ups on being like, oh, you guys need this. Why do you need it? Oh, that makes sense. Let's get it for y'all. And I just feel like that's just something that you really just can't get at a lot of other spots.
I agree, man. I agree. And if you're in this bartending thing for a long time, you know that this is where you want to be. I agree, hotels and sometimes these corporate groups, they can give you the foundation you need to actually be creative. And then maybe you can go be risky, but at least it'll be with a project that's completely yours versus being a part of somebody else's project and you take it on the risk, but none of the upside benefits.
Exactly.
I guess when it comes to cocktail design, because I know you touched on developing and working with the menu here, with you having traveling guests here, sometimes they have very varying tastes and requirements.
Absolutely.
But then you also got the locals, which can be a little bit more consistent in what they like. How are you building out a cocktail menu that appeases both of those audiences?
So just like I was saying with the food, pulling from so many different cultures, right? So you'll notice some of our drinks have spirits from France in it, right? Some of our drinks have, Mexican spirits, being tequila. We use a lot of Texas whiskeys, right? We really try to keep everything incorporated to the people that we know are going to be around here while keeping, diverse flavor profiles that everybody can kind of indulge in and try something that's different, right? We get a lot of people, that are international travelers that come in and they might like more gin-based drinks, they might like more like liquor forward and more bitter, founding drinks. And like we touch every single aspect on our menu. We do the espressos, right? We do the liquor forward. We do the seasonal like fruit drinks and, special flavor margaritas. We do the spritz, the peach spritz. Like we do a whole bunch of things in our menu to encapsulate the culture that we know are going to be walking through the hotel. So at least when I'm talking to my manager, then we're like, all right, we need some summer cocktails. We need something for the pool. It's like, how can we keep the same image of rippling roots, but move it to something that's a bit more refreshing, move it to something that's meant to be outside, move it to something that still uses all natural stuff. Like we don't really like using too many like artificial stuff as far as like, for example, blue carousel, right? We'll make a drink with blue carousel, look at the foundation and say, all right, this is the visual we want and the flavor profile is good, but what can we substitute out these like speed ingredients, right? Like a blue carousel for something that's naturally blue. And, we might make a blueberry reduction, try the same as process and say, all right, the flavor changed a little bit and the color changed just a little bit as well, but this is more of our brand, right? It is more of, wholesome sourcing, natural sourcing, and like with a grain of salt, because drinking isn't healthy, but a healthier option, right? Yeah. Doing everything fresh is always going to be better than a processed artificial. So I just feel like what we do is we have a diverse team and we do a really, really good job of creating a menu that no matter where you're from, you'll come through here and see something on that menu that you like. Even if it's from the beer, I think we have 12 beers on tap and I think 9 of them are local. So it's like even people are like, oh, what type of IPAs do you guys have? We have a hazy, we have, a West Coast style IPA, we have traditional Indian Pale Ale and an American IPA. We have 4 different IPA options. We have some Mexican style beers, Modelo, Dos Equis, some American beers. It's like we do a lot to kind of just make everyone feel like they have options when they come here.
Yeah, because with you guys running the conferences and the events, and sometimes those coordinators have their groups here and they want to make sure they have a bar that can serve everybody everything they want, so that way they look good for being host.
Exactly.
So I know you, man, you're all about the gym. Earlier you were talking about how you're hitting the gym twice a day right now.
Yeah.
How important is it to maintaining your physical fitness while being a bartender in a spot like this?
Oh, man, I feel like it's really, really important because, image is everything. And also how you feel is really important with how you're going to carry yourself into your job, right? This is a hotel, so it isn't exactly just drink slinging. This is hospitality at the end of the day. So you kind of have to be able to do both, right? You got to have consistent cocktails that you have to get out at a fast rate while also being very hospitable at the same time. So just putting the focus on that really kind of just changes, how I even go about dealing with myself and conditioning my own body for, those type of moments, man. It's early mornings, late nights, doing the gym two a days now, but I just know, you go up to a bartender you know, and he seems fit. It's like, okay, this person is able to balance the both. Like, you know, this person has a, you know, a business side that they also have like the self-care side, and you can also have the pleasure side, right? People come to us asking us questions about our recommendations. They always are like, oh man, like I wanted to get a workout in, like where can I go run around locally, or what gyms can I pop into for like a day pass? And like, you know, they ask me, and I'm like, that's because they see that I do that, you know? So I feel like it's really important for just like the mental stability and just trying to stay physically healthy, because, you know, you want being around all of this, you know, that isn't necessarily always a good thing if you know, take advantage of it too much. It's just good to see that, you know, there's still people who are working at bars, you know, handing out drinks to people that still, you know, put health as like a forefront of like their image and, you know, how they care about themselves.
And what are some additional habits you do to make sure that you are mentally in line and checked?
Oh yeah, so just like having a daily routine, and especially like a Sunday reset. I think my Sunday reset might be the biggest there, because, you know, personally, I would rather have off Sunday so I could really decompress, clean up, get my week started fresh. But, you know, typically, you know, I'm working on Sundays now, so my whole morning before I go in is all about just like getting the crib right, writing down my new week's plans, getting everything clean and organized. This way, when I come back Sunday night, I'm like, all right, wow, I can hop in the shower, and I'm up, I'm in the gym, you know what I mean? Like I could just get everything just going from there. But I feel like the routine has just helped me significantly with like, you know, prolonging the inevitable burnout that bartenders feel at certain points. You know, bartending goes up and down as far as momentum. You'll be on a really, really good string of things. You might feel a bit stagnant, feel that burnout. But I feel like if you have a consistent routine and you're like working on your own things on the side, it kind of helps, you know, mitigate how you're feeling in those moments. So yeah, man, just trying to keep a routine and just stay healthy, you know?
I think the routine is an underrated skill set that young bartenders need to find fast. Because sometimes when you get in here, everybody's inviting you to go out places or so many things that you could be doing, and sometimes you're just going with the wind. The wind is taking you wherever it goes, and then that, of course, leads to financially going through your funds because you're just spending random amounts of money. You're missing out on the gym, and then, of course, like you said, that starts weighing in on your mental health, which then starts factoring into how we can execute hospitality.
Exactly. And telling me, man, a hungover bartender, man, then they don't want to talk. And a spot like this, you got to talk.
But I know you were also a transplant. You touched on being raised on the East Coast, but now you live here in Austin. How were you able to really get acclimated and integrated into this city to even find job opportunities like this?
Man, just you know, shooting my shot, man. I applied for probably like 20 to 30 different spots, just like back to back on Indeed. And bro, I was doing the most when I first came here. So I felt like one of the good things I could do was, you know, I was driving Uber, not just for money, but this way I could learn my environment, right? So it's like I would be applying to these spots in the morning, driving around, you know, doing Uber, doing food deliveries, driving people around just so I could learn where I was at, right? That helped me so much in just being familiarized with just my infrastructure and my environment. Once I kind of felt comfortable with that, I completely stopped doing that because that does wreck your car. Love my car, not trying to have that become another burden. But like doing that, and like once I got settled in, I got hired, you know, here at the Hyatt. I was also working, you know, at the Change right here downtown and doing the driving. So I was able to have 3 different, you know, payments coming to me, you know, some weeks, right? Some weeks it was Monday, Wednesday, Friday I was getting paid, right? So I was just kind of able to stay afloat until I was able to kind of find, you know, this spot being my home bar, and I get comfortable and acclimated with the team here and just kind of understanding the culture that they wanted. And I've been, you know, this has been my longest standing job since I've been in Austin. I've worked at a bunch of different spots, but this has been the most consistent. I've been here since 2023, and bro, they've looked out for me. They looked out for me ever since, and like it's just like it's a good cycle here, right? They feed into us, and then we can feed back into the programs and the outlets that they need us to perform our best in. So.
And right now, you know, bartenders who are watching this, what are some things they can focus on right now if they want to start increasing more opportunities for themselves?
Oh man, just get yourself out there, man. Get your image out on the internet. Participate with groups like SpeedRailz and any other like local bartending competitions that you may know. It's like people just have to know what you're doing to be able to, you know, to see how much impact you really do have. I feel like, you know, as a young bartender, if you're trying to, whether like you're trying to become more social, you're trying to generate more revenue, like more tips for your pocket, people just have to know what you're doing, and you can't be scared to make mistakes on camera. Let's just say that, right? You had to be willing to get your image out there. You had to be willing to, you know, kind of take a step out of your comfort zone to kind of reach those goals and just keep learning and practicing. If you're a young bartender and you aren't necessarily comfortable with your skills yet to be on camera, just learn until you are, right? Really be a copycat for the people that are around you, like bartenders, managers, barbacks, you know, servers, like anything that you could take from people that's a positive, use that to your advantage and use that to become better at your skills, right? You know, all of that stuff is incorporated in this industry. Like, you know, a bartender has to inevitably be a barback and a server at the same time, right? They consider it a different position, but it's all woven in. That's the thing about the industry, right? It's like all of the roles are woven into your day-to-day. So it's like you could start off as a barback, you can move to a server, then move to a bartender. But I promise you, once you're a bartender, it's not like you get to just leave those things behind you. You're doing them every single day, right? But like you don't think about it like that because like it's so consistent in how you are making your money, how you're able to generate a good experience that, you know, you just, you know, you chalk it up to part of the game, you know?
I like that. Great answer, man. Well, for those who are watching, once again, Nate works here at Ripple and Roots at the Hyatt Regency here in Austin. Beautiful view of downtown and the river. What are the best days to come see you here?
Right now, I would say the best days to come see me would probably be Wednesday through Saturday/Sunday, depending on how it's going. That's normally when our groups are in the house and they'd be pretty busy, so they definitely need their hands on deck. And, you know, I'll be around. My team is great as well. I'm telling you, y'all don't even got to come to see me. If y'all come in, I promise that whoever y'all sit down with is going to be able to provide the vibe, the experience, and going to make you feel welcome. So don't think that you just have to come to see me. My coworkers are great people, and y'all will love having them be your, you know, be your host and your guide for your evening.
Amazing, man. Well, thank you so much for the time.
Absolutely, John. Thank you.
Thank you guys for the time. Go ahead, check everything in the YouTube description below for all the links and details and everything we've been talking about.
Yeah, thank y'all.